Our country has officially slid into a rabbit hole. I would call it La La Land, Crazy Town, the Twilight Zone. Hey, call it what you wish, but what's playing out before our eyes makes George Orwell's 1984 appear to be a newspaper story from 2024. Folks, we are living it. I mean, well-educated people pretend that they don't know what a woman is. What? Even a recently appointed Supreme Court justice said she didn't know because she wasn't a biologist. Hey, I'm not a biologist either, but I think I know what a woman is. And unlike Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, I've known the difference as long as I can remember, going back to my earliest memories at age 3. Not that complicated. But we are living in the crazy times when a man who claims to be a woman goes into the women's locker room at Planet Fitness, undresses, and shaves his bearded face in the women's locker room. And when a real woman complains that a man is hanging out in the women's locker room, she gets told that her Planet Fitness membership is being revoked because she didn't go along with this ridiculous and revolting perversion. You know, I'm reminded of the great classic comedy, No Time for Sergeants. Remember that? Will Stockdale is told that a woman officer isn't a woman, just an officer.
Oh, I'm a dog. I never heard of saluting no woman before.
She ain't a woman, she's a captain. I seen a captain stand there, so I come to attention and I saluted. A captain, that's all.
A woman, Captain.
A captain. By dog, don't you understand nothing, Will? When you're in uniform, you ain't supposed to notice whether a person is a man or a woman or what. A captain's a captain, a major's a major, and a general's a general.
Ben, you mean to tell me that you didn't notice that she was a woman?
A captain, that's all I seen.
Well, dog it, Ben, I knowed she was a woman right off.
You know the difference between then and now? In those days, all that was funny. People realized that it was ridiculous not to know the difference. Today, we get laughed at if we pretend we do know the difference. How is that for you? By the way, a week or so ago, congressional hearings turned into a tumble into a black hole of insanity as Democrats got confronted with information and then proceeded to declare that what they just heard was the opposite of what had just been said. Far-left loon AOC asked a question as to what crimes the Biden family members had committed. And when congressional witness Tony Bobolinsky started listing them, she ignored his answers and declared, "So, there weren't any." Huh? Folks, I've come to realize that people like her are not serious people. I'm reminded of the scene in the movie Naked Gun, where Detective Frank Drebin, played by Leslie Nielsen, assures people that everything is okay.
Excuse me. All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, nothing to see here. That's exactly what I saw at that hearing this week. I'm now convinced the Democrats simply take their cues from Hollywood, which is the true land of make-believe and fantasy. I mean, they surely see and hear what's actually happening around them, but they pretend that it is the opposite. Hey, Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, surely one of the most incompetent people ever to get a federal job, has repeatedly testified that our border is secure.
Secretary Mayorkas, do you continue to maintain that the border is secure?
Yes, and we are working day in and day out to enhance its security, Congressman.
Right. Thanks, sir. I get it. I just wanted to make sure that still is your assessment.
Yep, it looks secure to me there, Mr. Secretary, as those folks just pile in and beat the stuffing out of the immigration officers. Real secure and under control. And if you think it's wrong having 10 million people illegally storm the border and find their way into cities and towns where they are being put into hotels, provided meals and health care, and gift cards for spending money, while our own U.S. veterans are sleeping on the streets and in cardboard boxes? Oh, if you think that, well, you're a xenophobe and a racist. You know, when I hear leftists explain things, I sometimes wonder if they're capable of seeing what the rest of us clearly see. Do they not see gas prices, the prices of bread, butter, and bacon, rampant violent crime in our streets? Maybe they're all living in a world created by that wonderful character, Sergeant Schultz, from the old TV series Hogan's Heroes.
I see nothing.
Yep, I think most of the Democrats really are Sergeant Schultz. And when they tell me that Joe Biden is the sharpest, most focused, and in control president in history, I think I'm seeing a scene from the original movie, The Manchurian Candidate, where brainwashed soldiers extol the virtues of a man that in reality they can't stand.
Raymond Shaw is the kindest, bravest, warmest, most wonderful human being I've ever known in my life.
Raymond Shaw is the bravest, kindest, warmest, most wonderful human being I've ever known in my life.
I said Raymond Shaw is the kindest, warmest, bravest, most wonderful human being I've ever known in my life.
And it's like when they say, and Joe Biden is the sharpest, most capable, thoughtful man that I've ever seen as president in my life. I'm thinking, I'm watching The Manchurian Candidate all over again. And it's hard to dispute when the dishonest and discredited media goes right along with all this nonsense. Like this classic moment from CNN, where CNN claims that protests were fiery, but mostly peaceful.
What you're seeing behind me is one of multiple locations that have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin over the course of the night. A second night since Jacob Blake was seen shot in the back 7 times by a police officer. And what you are seeing now, these images came and come in stark contrast to what we saw over the course of the daytime hours in Kenosha and into the early evening, which were largely peaceful demonstrations in the face of law enforcement.
You see right there on the screen, it said fiery, but mostly peaceful protests, as the whole city burns down behind the guy. There you have it, right there. This is why you can't believe much of anything you hear from the media or from the far left these days. Because to put it simply, they have lost their ever-loving minds. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I hope you will now. The button is just below this video, and there's a little bell next to it. If you click on those, YouTube will reluctantly start letting you know when we've got a new video uploaded.